My name is Gabriel Capistrano, and this is my persuasive essay on the legalization of marijuana. Before I get into the presentation, I would like everyone to close their eyes and visualize this scenario in your own shoes. You are a high school graduate. You are your first week into college. You already met your dorm buddy. You guys are hitting it off. Everything's going pretty well. There's also a party tonight for welcoming incoming freshmen. You and your roommate decide to go. And along the way, you're walking through the street, you can already hear the music bumping, and he sees his friends on the side of the road just hanging out. So you decide to go hang out with them for a while before you go into the party. They're smoking something. Don't know what it is. Could be a vape, could be a cigarette. Turns out to be a joint of marijuana. As they're passing it around, it comes to you. You've never tried it before, but everyone else is doing it, and you're willing to do it, for the college experience. It's worth the risk. Until you see the blue and red lights flashing down the street. And just like that, you already have a criminal record before even starting your first week of college. Many people are under the notion that if something is legal, then it is good, and if something is illegal, then it is bad. In the case for marijuana, this just certainly isn't the case. Why should it be legalized? Well, marijuana, when compared to other legal substances such as alcohol and nicotine, is far less harmful. In states and cities across the United States where marijuana has been legalized, such as New York City, Los Angeles, Oregon, New York, Colorado, all these places have statistically seen a decrease in violent crime and gang violence after their legalization of recreational and medicinal marijuana. Criminalization of the drug has started by and been perpetuated by a man named Harry Anslinger, who created the criminalization back in 1930 and has been perpetuating racism and the unjust incarceration of blacks and Hispanics, as well as other minority groups around the United States for decades. Is marijuana as bad as people say it is? Well, there's a lot of misconceptions with the usage of marijuana. Marijuana is a gateway drug. Marijuana is addictive. Marijuana can be dangerous and harm others. Marijuana can pose a lot of large health risks. All these arguments hold some weight, but can easily be dissected in the names of science. Marijuana is a gateway drug, basically meaning if you use marijuana, you're more likely to use other harmful drugs. There's a fact that supports this, and then there's another fact that goes against this. One of the facts that supports it is, well, statistically speaking, most of the people who use hard drugs have indeed used marijuana throughout their lifetime. But this fact is overshadowed by the fact that all of the users of marijuana within the United States, the majority of those users do not end up using hard drugs. So although the hard drug users have evidence of using marijuana and evidence of it leading to the usage of other drugs, the large majority of the population who uses marijuana recreationally does not mold into this group. Marijuana is addictive. Marijuana is actually less addictive than its legal counterparts, being tobacco and alcohol. Alcoholism and nicotine addiction being very, very, very serious cases in the United States. Whereas marijuana can be kicked in 2 days, even after constant use over a period of years. Marijuana does not have any physically traumatic withdrawal symptoms. Marijuana is dangerous and can harm others. Well, much like alcohol and tobacco, this is true. In dangerous situations, marijuana can be used dangerously, such as in instances of driving, or watching over children, right? Marijuana is just as dangerous, and if not more safer than alcohol, when being applied to these dangerous situations. Marijuana poses a large health risk. This can easily be combated by the fact that, well, marijuana can be posing a large health risk, i.e. the usage of its usage being smoking. Smoking anything into your lungs is indeed bad for you. However, there are many alternative methods of using marijuana. If you don't like smoking, well, you can just eat it, So it can pose a large health risk, but if people don't want to have that risk, they can easily find other ways of using it. Tobacco and alcohol have much higher risks of indirect and direct death, according to this graph. These blue lines being direct and indirect deaths related to the usage of these drugs. Tobacco being the highest, killing almost 9 million people a year. Alcohol in second place for 2.44 million dying each year, directly and indirectly. This could be drunk driving or alcoholism. Notice how illicit drug use doesn't even compare to alcohol and tobacco combined, with less than 500,000 dying each year, directly and indirectly related to drug use. And finally, the unjust incarceration of minority people in the United States for the possession of marijuana. The American legal system disproportionately incarcerates people of color for the usage and possession of marijuana, even when the white individual counterparts have similar consumption rates. Harry Anslinger, which I mentioned earlier, in the 1930s promoted an anti-reefer racist campaign of propaganda and movies that push the idea that marijuana is just as bad as every other bad drug because black people are using them. He purposefully wanted to criminalize this drug because black people were using it. And evidence shows that black men are 4 times more likely to be arrested for marijuana charges than white individuals. And this is a very controversial and prevalent case, and hopefully with the legalization of marijuana, this can no longer be a problem. Any questions? If not, who here thinks cannabis isn't as bad as you initially thought? And who here would actively vote against the criminalization of cannabis? Thank you. Presentation over.